I'm making this video really based on the game against Slavia Praha in the weekday where Barca won 4-2 in the UCL away in absolutely horrible conditions. I mean, the cold was inexplicable. It was extremely, extremely cold. I don't even know the players even went through with playing the game. But Barca won 4-2, and it wasn't really a good performance. So what I'm making a video here today about is, issues that I've seen, I mean, especially in this game, but they've been the core issues of this team for really the whole season and even partially, for Barcelona last season. Um, if we start with this game, look, there's nothing much to really say about it other than Barca defensively, and we keep saying it, they are shocking. Barcelona are shocking defensively, and that's their primary issue. Now, they got the win, which is important. They should have won by more goals if they wanted to be in the top 8, which is also important. But we'll see how it looks like next week with the game, the last match day for all the teams in the UCL. So if Barca can make top 8, that's going to be important. But what I want to discuss here today is basically the reality of Barca's season. And we talk about moments that Barca has. For example, I mean, they had 11 wins in a row. One of them was beating Real Madrid in the Super Cup final. I mean, that's a big thing, beating Madrid in the final and winning a trophy off of it. It's a big thing, the first trophy of the season. It's a very important thing. Think about the performances within that 11 win streak. They destroyed Athletic Bilbao, a good, strong win against Villarreal. Some good performances. Espanyol is not an easy game away. We got the win. Overall, Barca was picking up some serious form, post November, December kind of, especially since Rafinha returned. Um, but now they lost to Sociedad away, and they won to Praha, but it wasn't convincing. And you know, we can say Barcelona are looking very strong attacking wise, and they're doing well with 11 wins in a row. But even with the 11 wins in a row, even with whatever moments you can name that this club has that are good, the issues are still very visible. Now, if we look at this stat board real quick, I'm not gonna take this stat board as sacrosanct, but let's look at it. So we compare Barcelona this season to Barcelona last season. Goals, they're in the same percent. I think this is percentile. So they're in the same percentile for goals across both seasons. Barcelona are actually in the higher percentile this season for attacking. Slightly higher possession wise, but it's not enough to you know cause any discussion. Counters, I'm not sure if this is defending or attacking counters, but Barcelona last season were way better. But now where we get into the important stuff, defending. Barcelona this season are about 14 to 15 points or percentile levels below where they were last season. I know Barcelona had Inigo leave on a free to Saudi Arabia, which is a horrible business move from Barcelona. They've been bodied by Saudi Arabia in the market, typical from this board. Um, Inigo left, and even before Inigo left, I was saying that Barca do not have enough depth in the back line or even strength in general in the back line to go into the season and perform at the highest level across the whole season. They let their best defender go and didn't sign anybody to replace him. They signed Cancelo now in the winter window, but he's not really a defender. If anything, he's more of an attacking signing, Cancelo. So this team really struggles defensively. And we look at, for example, the pressing percentile as well. Barca was way higher, 6 points higher in pressing in the 99th percentile last season. Now they're at 94 about, so about 5 points, not really six, but overall you can tell pressing, which is very important for defense, and then defending, which is defense itself, Barcelona have dropped. And it wasn't really like they were out of this world defending last season. You look at La Liga this season, Barca have 22 goals conceded. There are one, two, three, four teams with better defensive records and one team with the same defensive record this season in La Liga. And last season, we can go to the league. One, two, three. Three teams had a better defensive record, and one team had the same defensive record. So, Barcelona are up there defensively, but that's more to blame of the lack of quality in La Liga in the modern era. It's not La Liga is not what it used to be, especially attacking wise. If anything, teams are stronger now defensively, or at least, still up to the level defensively. But the point is that Barcelona do not excel defensively. And we saw at the end of last season, especially at the start of last season, where Barcelona was scraping every team in sight: Madrid, Bayern, any of the Liga teams. Barca was just destroying them 4-1, 4-0, 5-0, 6-1. Just destruction. It was the beginning of the whole offside trap, Hansi Flick intense pressing era with Barcelona. All the players were fresh. And it was a new ideology that teams really couldn't hack. Barca had a really big drop off last season from November to December, and they picked up form again in January, and then the season went on. But from that moment, when Barca dropped form, they really never reached what they were again that season. They still haven't hit that, to the level of that peak that they were at from August to November. And I mean, attacking wise, they have, but defensively, absolutely not. And you know, when you look at trophies that Barca want to win, La Liga, the treble basically, La Liga, Copa del Rey, and more especially, most certainly, what Barca needs and wants right now, as soon as possible, is the UEFA Champions League trophy. That's really what the goal is, especially for any team. But yes, Barcelona, especially a club of their caliber, haven't won it in that long. They definitely want to win it. And in the UCL, you can be an attacking team, you can be very good attacking wise, but you need to have a good defense. You need to have a strong defense in the UCL. We saw last season, William Pacho, Nuno Mensch, Hakimi, Donnarumma, Marquinhos. They were absolutely locked down for PSG. They were locked down, and of course their attack complemented them. Their midfield complemented them very well. Overall, it was a very, very, very strong team. Had some pretty decent depth as well. Good manager made that happen, and they won what they won. So you can't just really have what Barcelona has, in terms of a very strong attack, a very good midfield overall, even though that has a bit of discussion as well, and then have you know an average defense for their standards. It's Barca aren't playing here with Dani Alves, PK, Puyol. No, you have a young 18-year-old Kubarsi who's leading the back line every game for 2 seasons now, basically, and it's a very aggressive back line. You have Kunde, who's absolutely shocking. You have Balde, who hasn't improved in 2 years and doesn't excel going back. I mean, defensively, isn't hasn't really been impactful going forward. Which having a real left winger in front of him would help. But the point is that he himself has not really excelled going forward as well, and they've not signed anybody. The most obvious signing Barca can make for the back line is Schlotterbeck, a left-footed center back, big and strong. He's 6'3", very good defender, very good on the ball. Basically, an Inigo Martinez profile. I think a bit taller and just younger. So it's a very obvious signing, and you can talk about the board and the finances and what Barca has available, but the point is that this team very badly needs defenders. And we look at the defense right now. Kubarsi, yes, I guess he's had a bit of a drop off in form since Xavi left, really, defensively, but you can't really blame him too much. Yes, he's not where he used to be, but you can't really put the blame too much on him. On the other hand, Kunde, shocking. Completely shocking from Kunde. Araujo, everyone knows the case with him. He's like whatever. I don't even consider him part of the squad, that often. Like, I have to actually think about Barca's defense to think of Araujo. If someone asks me, name Barca's defenders, I would instantly say Kubarsi, Kunde. I never really even think about Araujo nowadays. They have Balde, they sent Cancelo now, but yeah, he plays left back, right back, but he's not going to lock down the defense. Eric Garcia has been monstrous, to be fair. Christensen plays one game every 3 years. Gerard Martin has very big issues in terms of physicality and speed, so he can't really hold it down either. And Barca are really just banking on Joan Garcia to save them. And even the offside trap tactic has had a drop off. I mean, I haven't seen Barca, the offside trap of Barca being talked about. Yes, they're catching people offside, but the offside trap isn't as well oiled, focused as it was last season. Of course, that has to do with the press as well. The press is nowhere near where it was last season. So Barca have injury issues. Barca have signing issues. Pedri's out now for a month. Hopefully, it's a month. It could probably be maybe 1 to 2 months, if anything. But this club is begging for a center back signing, preferably to my preference, and which should be to most people's preference, Schlotterbeck. Maybe even another defensive signing in terms of the center back depth. They need a right back who can probably push Kunde. I think Josh Achampong from Chelsea is a decent option. Just somebody young, somebody powerful, who's good at defending, good at attacking, because Kunde is neither of those right now. Um, and what this team is really, really begging for as well is, which I haven't talked about yet in this video, the midfield. It's begging for a fully fit Gavi to be available. It's begging for Mark Bernal to be, 100% back from his ACL recovery. He's recovered, he's playing minutes, but he's not 100% there physically. He's being very slowly eased in by Flick, and those two profiles are very important, and I mean very important, for allowing Pedri have to do less running, have to be, back and forth less. If Gavi, who does a lot of running anyways for himself, he doesn't care, he'll just run forever. If Gavi is there, if Bernal is there, especially Bernal, somebody who's meant to lock down the midfield as a single pivot, if those players can be fully fit and available at, good form, high form, they will not only, complete the midfield for Barcelona, but they will unlock Pedri even more, who's been absolutely unbelievable, for the most part of this season, and then for all of last season, he was absolutely unbelievable. So if they can unlock Pedri even more, which is what this team is begging for, really. There's a numerous signings and numerous players that this club's missing. The number 9, for example. These two midfielders that I've been talking about, right back, center backs. There's a few profiles, whether they be signings or players returning from injury or getting into shape, that this club is missing. But this team is very close to Barcelona are very close to being able to mark a serious era, and I mean a serious era with Hansi Flick. And I actually didn't mention this before, but we talk about Barca's, as a club right now. Of course, the issue is defense. What's wrong with them? They're so good attacking wise, but they couldn't win the UCL last season. Everyone knows that defense is the issue, but I've also seen people on Twitter, want Hansi Flick out, blame Hansi Flick. The reality is that Hansi Flick has had very, 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 very little support in the market. He got Daniel Olmo, which he really wanted. He got a new goalkeeper, which he asked for. But, this team obviously needs way more than just those two. Rashford's a decent signing for what for what Barca play as an impact sub, but he's not really somebody that's going to change the course of Barcelona's season or future. So he's had very little support in the market, Hansi Flick, and he's done very well to bear with it. He's done very well to just work with what the club has and maximize the team, especially in terms of attacking wise. Can he be a little bit more adaptable in the defensive side of the game? Absolutely. But he's brought Barcelona to a level now where they can actually compete against the biggest teams, which we didn't really see, for a very long time. I think Barca did a decent job of competing with, the big teams in Xavi's first full season, where they had a very good game against Bayern but lost. They beat Madrid that season, I think, 1 or 2 times. But the point is that Hansi Flick has done unbelievable work, and he's had Pedri reach the next level. He's had Rafinha reach the next level. He completely transformed Rafinha. He's had Yamal just have a Ballon d'Or level season at 18 years old. He had Lewandowski reach like a new, stage of his career, really, where he's 38 years old, but he still scored a lot of goals, especially last season. He's actually gone, what we've seen since he joined the club, I guess one of the good versions of De Jong. Fermin's playing out of his mind. It's just he's done a very good job in the attacking side of things. Of course, defensively, he's implemented what his ideology of the sport is, which is an attacking style of play, very aggressive. But when it comes to the back line, it's not as balanced. It's just very aggressive as well with the rest of the team. So he's done a very good job, and it's not really you can't really blame him, for a lot of the things going on. I think it's more of a personnel issue and signing issue and depth issue in this club right now. It's not if anything, the criticism that Hansi Flick deserves, you can say, is no more than 15 to 20%, maybe even 10%. So it's just these are the issues of the club right now. I made a video here, the reality of Barca season, and the reality is now that they cannot compete for the UCL. And even now that they're only 1 point ahead of Madrid in La Liga, they cannot really. They're gonna have to need to make more signings here. There's only a week left in the transfer window in January. The reality is that they cannot compete consistently, especially in the UCL with this defense, because they've struggled way more in the UCL group stage just this year. Last year they got second place. They only had one loss, and then the rest were wins. or I think it was a draw if not a loss, either or. But this year they're struggling. They're not even in the top 8, and they were like 14th or 15th before the last game. So it's just and Barca fans shouldn't be getting their hopes up too high when Barca beat Madrid, for example. This version of Madrid, especially, um, in the final or in the Super Cup final, exactly to be exact. Um, the reality is that this club is missing a few more pieces, and then if they get those pieces, which I don't even think is gonna happen because this club's still waiting for the 1-to-1 ratio margin of salary to be available. The reality is that you know UCL is not really on the cards exactly at this moment, so it is what it is. But as long as La Liga is a very good option, win the Copa del Rey, win the Super Cup like they just did, um, they're just a few pieces away, and then UCL could be a serious talking point like it was last season. So, yeah, this is it. Um, hopefully, Barca get to the level I've been talking about, soon. I'm not sure how long Hansi Flick will want to stay at this club, but he's doing a very good job. Overall, it's not 100% completely and utterly, but overall, very good job. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. They play La Liga against Oviedo at home on Sunday. It's a must-win game. They're not doing well in La Liga, and Barca need to, you know, extend the lead against Madrid again. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video.